In America, there are two kinds of news stories guaranteed to thrill the press. One, a politician's sex scandal. Two, the sight of the FBI storming into the home of someone who once sat in the White House. This week, it was the latter that exploded. At dawn, federal agents raided the home of former National Security Advisor John Bolton, the bearded hawk who once infuriated Trump so much with his tell-all memoir that the ex-president spent years calling him a scumbag. But the real drama wasn't just in the raid itself, it was in Trump's reaction. As headlines lit up, he wasted no time leaping onto his favorite stage, Truth Social. In trademark never-take-responsibility style, he pounded out, "I wasn't briefed on this raid. Bolton is a traitor, a terrible American, unpatriotic, a lowlife." Classic Trump. Deny involvement, but immediately sprinkle insults on top like hot sauce. Social media users couldn't resist mocking, "If you really didn't know anything, why do you sound like you're savoring every second of Bolton being dragged into the spotlight?" The saga got juicier when Trump declared himself the chief law enforcement officer of the United States. Lawyers everywhere facepalmed since that title legally belongs to the Attorney General, not the President. But constitutional details are always secondary in Trump world. He doubled down. "I could have directed it, but I didn't. That's even better." It was equal parts denial and brag. Basically, "I'm not a thief, but if I stole it, I deserve it." Meanwhile, Bolton kept quiet. His lawyer issued a bland statement. "We will cooperate within the framework of the law." But Washington insiders know the history. Bolton has loathed Trump for years, and Trump sees Bolton as his personal Judas. The raid was just fresh fuel for a grudge that's been smoldering for ages. The media feasted. The Guardian blared, "Trump denies briefing on raid, calls Bolton a traitor." The Daily Beast snarked, "Trump anoints himself America's top cop while trashing Bolton." The New Yorker went dead serious, declaring, "This is the retribution phase of Trump's second term, with the FBI, DOJ, and security apparatus morphing into political weapons." Each side, of course, heard the story differently. MAGA fans saw a strong president finally draining the swamp, Bolton being just another deep state rat who deserved punishment. Democrats and journalists, on the other hand, saw the White House turning into The Apprentice Retribution Edition, where anyone who dared defy the boss gets fired, whether by law or by meme. In D.C. cafes, the chatter was blunt. "This is just the opener. Today Bolton, tomorrow Adam Schiff, Letitia James, or anyone else who ever crossed Trump." And so the label Retribution Presidency began circulating like wildfire, a shorthand for the next 4 years. Back in Ohio, VP J.D. Vance tried to cool things down, saying, "The FBI shouldn't lock people up just for disagreeing with the government." It sounded noble, but everyone knew. Vance was trying to keep the White House from looking like a revenge machine, something Trump himself seemed almost eager to advertise. But Trump didn't care. For him, Bolton's pre-dawn raid was the perfect spectacle. Deny it, insult the guy, and remind everyone that, if I wanted, I could control it all, like standing outside a fire, waving a box of matches. The result? Voters grew even more polarized. Supporters saw strength, opponents saw dictatorship. But either way, no one could look away from the circus. The FBI, Bolton, Trump, and those insults, lowlife, traitor, unpatriotic, echoing across social media. American politics has never lacked drama, but the FBI raid on John Bolton's home this week was like dumping a barrel of gasoline on an open flame. If Part 1 showed Trump's denial and name-calling, Part 2 shows how the bigger picture emerged. Allies, opponents, pundits, and the growing sense that this is the beginning of the retribution presidency. First came the White House reaction. Vice President J.D. Vance, busy cultivating his image as calmer and steadier than his boss, said, "The FBI cannot and should not jail people simply because they disagree with the government. The law must remain independent." It sounded noble, but everyone knew Vance was signaling two audiences, independents who hate chaos and business leaders who want a rational White House. In short, Vance was the handbrake while Trump was flooring the gas. On Capitol Hill, Republicans split. The MAGA purists cheered. Bolton got what he deserved. But moderates shivered, remembering Trump's campaign pledge, "I will have retribution. I will make the traitors pay." Now, with Bolton raided, the slogan looked real. And that spooked more than a few lawmakers. Was the presidency really turning the FBI into a personal weapon? Democrats pounced. Congressman Adam Schiff, long branded by Trump as a liar, immediately went on CNN. This is a textbook case of a president abusing power to punish those who dare oppose him. It was an old line, but carried new weight. Bolton wasn't just another Democrat. He was a former insider, making the retaliation look personal and unmistakable. The think tanks piled on. A moderate conservative group warned, using the FBI as a cudgel for political payback erodes public trust. A progressive institute was blunter. Trump has entered the soft dictatorship stage. Today, it's Bolton. Tomorrow, it could be anyone. The media circus, predictably, spun non-stop. The New Yorker delivered gravitas. This was the retribution phase of Trump's presidency. They even drafted an enemies list of who might be next. Letitia James, Merrick Garland, maybe even CNN anchors who once crossed him. It felt like watching Nixon's enemies list 2. 0, except now with federal agents carrying it out. Fox News, of course, staged a different narrative. Trump was merely cleaning out disloyal actors. One guest even likened it to Game of Thrones. In every kingdom, traitors must pay the price. That wasn't just commentary. It was an open invitation to view the White House as a revenge theater. Here's the kicker. Bolton is despised by both parties. Democrats see him as a war hawk. Republicans resent him as a backstabber after his book deal. So sympathy was scarce. Instead, the raid became a litmus test. Was federal power being weaponized to crush personal enemies? And if so, what did that say about the Republic's guardrails? In D.C. bars, the dark humor flowed. Trump just launched a new season of The Apprentice Retribution Edition. Bolton is the first contestant eliminated. Cynical, yes, but spot on. No one knows who's next. Legal scholars also raised alarms. A Yale law professor tweeted, "When a president calls someone a traitor and the FBI shows up soon after, the line between justice and vengeance evaporates. A republic cannot run if fear replaces law." This wasn't academic hand-wringing. It captured the unease of ordinary Americans. Today, Bolton. Tomorrow, maybe you, if your tweet rubs the boss wrong. Through it all, Trump stayed on brand, rallying in Pennsylvania. He grinned at the crowd. "I knew nothing about the raid, but if I did, it would have been deserved. Bolton is a traitor, folks. We don't need people like that in our great America." The crowd roared, MAGA flags waved, and reporters live-tweeted every word. Bottom line, this wasn't just a raid. It was the first tangible sign that Trump's campaign promise of retribution might be materializing. The big question, is this the opening act of a true revenge presidency, or just another Trumpian stage play, designed to scare enemies and thrill his base? While Washington insiders dissected Bolton's fate with somber talk of retribution, out on the streets and across social media, the raid was transformed into a full-on reality show. Americans, long conditioned to live in a drama nation, instantly recast a serious national security event into a carnival of mockery. Within 24 hours, Twitter Gex exploded with hashtags like Knock Bolton Raid and Etu's Traitor Beard. Images of Bolton's silver whiskers were photoshopped into Breaking Bad stills, or Pirates of the Caribbean. A viral meme remixed the Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban poster into Bolton and the Prisoner of Mar-a-Lago. Legal nuance? Irrelevant. The internet only needs raw material to feast. TikTok piled on. One guy donned a fake mustache, knocked on his own door, screamed, "FBI, open up," then sprinted around to the Benny Hill theme. Millions of views in hours. The FBI raid had become a trending dance routine. In real life, outside Bolton's Maryland home, dozens gathered. Some waved flags and shouted, "Traitor." Others carried signs reading, "Hands off Bolton." Local police had to throw up barricades to separate them. Reporters said it looked more like a small soccer match. 2 teams, 2 chants, lots of insults. Elsewhere, anti-Trump activists staged pop-up protests with signs like, "FBI is not your toy." MAGA loyalists countered by live-streaming in front of FBI offices, demanding, "Do more raids, catch more traitors." One extremist group even wore T-shirts emblazoned, "Retribution Now," turning Trump's vague rhetoric into merch. The mainstream media cashed in. CNN convened 5 talking heads yelling over each other, "Bolton deserved it?" "No, it's political revenge." Fox News ran Bolton's scruffy face on loop with the Chiron traitor. MSNBC built a flashy infographic titled Trump's Enemies List, with Bolton in pole position. The cycle churned 24/7. The unsettling part, depending on your sense of humor, is that Americans seemed fine treating politics as pure entertainment. A New York student told Politico, "I don't care what Bolton did, I just want to see what Trump posts next on Truth Social." A Texas housewife told The Guardian, "I turn on the TV just to see if Bolton gets cuffed. It's like watching a drama series, not news. Late-night shows pounced. Stephen Colbert cracked, "Breaking news, Bolton's mustache finally under arrest." Jimmy Kimmel added, "FBI found weapons of mass destruction in Bolton's house, his old books." The audience howled. Once again, any Trump-adjacent scandal slid neatly into America's comedy diet. Trump himself tossed more fuel. At a Pennsylvania rally, he sneered, "Bolton is a traitor, folks, the worst. But I had nothing to do with that raid, nothing. But if I did, it would have been beautiful. The most beautiful raid." Shared millions of times, the line, "the most beautiful raid," instantly became a catchphrase, slapped on t-shirts, stickers, coffee mugs. What began as a serious FBI operation was quickly devoured by the meme economy. And here's the kicker. The polarization wasn't just among politicians, it reached ordinary citizens. MAGA fans tagged Bolton as a deep state rat, while anti-Trumpers elevated him as the first victim of the retribution presidency. Both sides raged. In between sat the weary middle. Those who shook their heads and muttered, "Why does America feel like a reality show?" The answer was obvious, because audiences want it that way. When TV, social media, and politicians all conspire to turn governance into spectacle, people can no longer tell justice from performance. The Bolton raid, instead of sparking debate about constitutional limits, was digested as just another episode in the long-running series called Trump's America. And, like any hit show, viewers are already hyped for the next episode. Who's the next target on the retribution list? Bolton was just the pilot. The real season premiere is still to come.